It is summertime! I hope you are having a fantastic summer out there. Welcome to Movie Rewind's annual summer special. My name is Tommy Bowyer and today I will be counting down my top 8 favourite films. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, before we get started with the main ranking, I would just like to say a couple of things. Firstly, this is my personal choices. It doesn't mean that I think these films are masterpieces of cinema or some of the best films ever made. Of course not, because rankings are subjective. What I'm saying is these are 8 films which I personally really enjoy and would watch at least 5 times a year, at least, because I don't have much of a social life, so I just sit in and watch films. But enough on my depressing life. I would also like to say that the reason I've chosen top 8 is because I was originally going to do top 5, but I had 4 films which were tied at the end, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to pick one. So in the end I decided what the heck, I would let all 4 be on the ranking, and that is why we have top 8 instead of top 5. So anyway, let's get on with this ranking. At number 8 I have selected Finding Nemo. Now, the main reason I have selected Finding Nemo is because not only was it the first film I ever saw in cinema, so it's always going to have a special place in my heart, it's also a cracking film, which is one of the best Pixar films ever released. It's very emotional, it has a lot of funny moments, a lot of intense moments as well. I really like the journey that Marlin and Dory go on. I think it's fantastic. They come into contact with a lot of different sea creatures and have to overcome a lot of obstacles. I also think the messages in this film are really good as well. Messages over just because you're different, that doesn't mean you stop trying, much like Nemo. And the fact that Marlin has to come to the realization that he has to let Nemo take risks and make his own mistakes. He can't just mollycoddle him forever. I think they're really good messages which are important for children and parents to learn as well, which is why I hold Finding Nemo in such high regard. For my 7th choice, I have selected Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, I love all 3 Indiana Jones films. I think they're amazing. However, The Last Crusade is my personal favourite for the simple reason I really enjoy the chemistry between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. They've got a great father-son relationship as Indiana and Henry Jones, and I think it's just fantastic. Also, love the villains in this film. Donovan is an amazing villain. Vogel, I think, is thoroughly underrated. I think he's the best Nazi villain Indiana Jones has ever had to face. Plus, some of the action scenes in this film are amazing. My personal favourite in the entire Indiana Jones franchise is the tank scene. I think that's an amazing action scene, all practical effects. It's just amazing. And also, the ending of this film, I think, is so heartwarming. The fact that Indiana Jones, Henry Jones, Marcus Brody and Sulla all go off into the sunset with the Last Crusade theme playing, I think it is amazing. The perfect end to a fantastic trilogy. Let's just forget that the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull exists. At number 6, I have selected Casino Royale. Now, I am a massive fan of pretty much all of the James Bond films, barring a few exceptions. However, Casino Royale is my personal favourite James Bond film for the simple reason I think it did so much to regenerate the franchise, bring it back in such an amazing way. There's so many practical effects in this and greatly and well done choreographed fight scenes. Some of my personal favourite, I have to say. Plus, Daniel Craig kills it in the role of James Bond. This, in my opinion, is the film where he is at his best. James Bond is very cold, he's very calculated, he's only there to do a specific job, which I think is great. Also, Bond and Vesper, portrayed by Eva Green. An amazing relationship. Vesper is one of the best Bond girls out there, I would say. I would argue with anyone. I think she's amazing. So I always hold Casino Royale in very high regard. It brought James Bond back with a bang, and I don't think there has been a James Bond film since Casino Royale which has lived up to that standard. At number 5, I have selected the original Spider-Man, released in 2002. I am a massive Spider-Man fan, so you can expect for at least one more Spider-Man film to be on this list. However, the original it's beautiful. I've heard so much criticism of it in recent years. A lot of people are saying it's very cringy, it's very cheesy, the effects look bad. Personally speaking, I think it is an amazing film. Not only is it a very important comic book related film, because it was due to this film's success that studios started taking comic book films more seriously. Tobey Maguire is perfect as Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man. He will always be for me. Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin is a very underrated performance. You can tell he's putting his all into this performance and it's just amazing. A lot of the action scenes in this film I really enjoy. Plus, Spider-Man feels like a comic book, which it should be. Comic book films should not be afraid of embracing their origins, and Spider-Man is not afraid of that. Sam Raimi as the director is perfect, an amazing director throughout this film. Plus, the pacing of this film is great. It flies by. I love Spider-Man. It has great characters, great action scenes, and if ever there was a film which captured the essence of Spider-Man, it was the original. At number 4, I have selected Avengers Endgame. Now, the peak of the MCU, in my opinion. I don't think that they're going to surpass Avengers Endgame. It's a beautiful film. Very different to what some people were expecting. It's not a massive action film. It's not a war movie. We got that with Infinity War. Endgame is a much more wholesome, more emotional, more laid back. And I think that's good for it. I like the time travel stuff. I think that works very well. So many references in this film to previous Marvel movies. I think that's a really nice touch. Plus, this film is a very fitting end to Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow. Iron Man's death at the end of this film is really emotional. I had tears in my eyes, I have to admit. We'd been waiting 11 years for Avengers Endgame, and it paid off. My God, did it pay off. It could have gone really wrong, but Joe and Anthony Russo made sure that the fans were rewarded for their loyalty to the MCU for so many years, and they did it. Avengers Endgame will go down as one of the greatest films ever released. That's why it's on my list. It's a beautiful film, and I would say the height of not only the MCU, but comic book films in general. My third choice is The Dark Knight. Now, The Dark Knight for a long time was my favourite film. It has been overtaken in recent years. However, what a tremendous film. It's the best Batman film ever released. Plus, let's be honest, the main reason The Dark Knight ranks so high is Heath Ledger. An amazing performance as the Joker. When you think some people were angry when he was cast because they just didn't see him portraying the character, they were wrong. He deserved that Oscar. Whenever he is on screen, the standards are just raised significantly. An amazing actor and brought the Joker to life. Plus, I really enjoyed this film's story. I think it has some very good messages. You either die a hero or live long enough to let yourself become a villain. I think that's an amazing quote. There's so many memorable quotes in this, to be honest. Very intense, a lot of scenes you're on the edge of your seat, especially the final confrontation between Batman and Two-Face. That's a very intense moment. Even now, I've seen this film at least 50 times. I'm still on the edge of my seat when Two-Face is flipping his coin to decide whether Gordon's son lives or dies. Even though I know how it's going to end, I'm still on the edge of my seat. And that is a good film, because it's still intense, you're still on the edge of your seat, even though you've seen it before. And that is why The Dark Knight is one of my personal favourite films. The runner-up in this list is Spider-Man 2. See, I told you another Spider-Man film would make it onto this list. Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man film ever released. It's iconic, let's be honest. And I know it's basically become loads of memes now. Very funny memes, but you know, Spider-Man 2 is more than just memes. Tobey Maguire is at his best in this film. I love how they show Spider-Man in the sense of it's not easy being him. He has to make sacrifices over what he truly wants. He wants to be with Mary Jane, but what his responsibilities are as Spider-Man. And especially the scene in Peter's imagination when him and Uncle Ben are sitting in the car again and he says, "No, Uncle Ben, I don't want this anymore." Heartbreaking scene. Really is a heartbreaking scene and totally captures the essence of Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson plays a more dominant role in Spider-Man 2, which is great. Sam Raimi obviously knew that J.K. Simmons was perfect for the role, so included him in a lot more scenes, and he's amazing. There's not one scene with J. Jonah Jameson in this which isn't funny. He's just great, and J.K. Simmons portrays the character so well. And also, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, one of the most heartbreaking Spider-Man villains ever brought to film. He's amazing. Not only is he very intimidating and a threat to Spider-Man, there's also an emotional level. And I think he got great redemption. It rounded off his character arc in a beautiful way that he sacrificed himself. I just hope that No Way Home doesn't screw up his character, because he got a perfect send-off in Spider-Man 2. So please don't screw up his character. I will not be very happy. Overall, Spider-Man 2 is an amazing film. It's one of the best comic book films ever released, and I would hold it up as a symbol of what Spider-Man as a superhero represents. Now, at the top, my number one pick, my personal best favourite film out of all of the films I have ever seen is Joker. Now, some of you might say that's pretty predictable. I'm a comic book film fan, so obviously you're going to pick Joker. I'm sorry, Joker is an amazing film. It was something totally different which comic book films haven't done before. After I saw this film, I went to see this film twice in cinemas. The first time I went to see it, I came out thinking that was a cracking film, or I need to see that again. So a couple of days later I went to see it again, and I left feeling quite disturbed. It's a very disturbing film. Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic as Joker. He deserved that Oscar, he really did. It never lets up, this film. It just goes downhill, and that's a great thing, because they make you feel sympathy for Arthur Fleck, who becomes Joker, which you could say is a risky thing to do, that you're supposed to relate and feel sympathy for this madman. I think they do it really, really well. It's got some great messages in it about how society works and who gets a break in society and who doesn't. I love Joker, an amazing film. My personal favourite scene in Joker is the live TV when he's on the talk show with Murray Franklin. That is an amazing thing. That is an amazing scene. Best quote, "You get what you fucking deserved." Because let's face it, there's probably a lot of people watching who you've met someone in your life who you would love to say that to. So Joker is an amazing film. I like that it's darker. I like that it's more disturbed. I like that you can feel uncomfortable while watching it. It's an amazing film, and I don't think I'm ever going to really see a film which will be better than it. I really hope that you enjoyed my ranking. Of course, I'm just one sad guy on YouTube, you know, so my opinion probably counts for nothing. What are your personal favourite films? Please feel free to comment down below. Let me know. I'd like to know what the majority believe are their favourite films. Do you like any of the films I mentioned, or are you saying, well, actually that's a loads of rubbish, I prefer these films? Of course, it's all down to opinion. Films and cinema are very subjective. There's no real majority saying, oh yes, this film is the best film ever. So yeah, feel free to comment down below. And I would just like to say a massive thank you to some people, some great guys who have supported this channel for so long. And they are Matthew Chollerton, Ryan Flack, George Hunt, Aaron Williamson, and Brandon Liddell. Even though I don't think he watches these videos anymore. If he does, hello Brandon, hope you're doing well. You guys have been fantastic. You always give me great advice, and especially if one of my videos is pretty shit, you tell me straight that it is shit. So thank you very much for that, and I hope you all have a brilliant summer. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed my summer special. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. And of course, I hope you all have an amazing summer. I think after COVID, we definitely deserve it. I hope you really enjoy yourselves, and I will see you in another one. See ya.